Hi, my name is Steph Thomas. I am a senior here at the Meek School of Journalism, and I'm pursuing a career in print journalism with an emphasis on politics. And I'm proud to introduce Bo Sachs, the publisher and president from Precision Media Group.
Perfect. Thank you. It's great being back in Vegas. This is my third ACT event. I would have been at the third or the second, but kidney stones prevented me from arriving here, and I would rather have been here than deal with my kidney stones. For those who have been here all day, this has been an extraordinary event, and I think the best yet. If you've been listening to what's been going on here, the amount of information delivered to both professionals and journey persons, students, is outstanding. You can feel the passion in the room for publishing and for what I call information distribution. Samir and I have been debating the future of this industry for many years, maybe 15 years, but we're both passionate about this industry. And the core of what once was, and probably to be, are these gentlemen, printing. The core of our industry is still print. 90% of our revenue, anybody will tell you, is print. We're moving on, and we'll get stronger and stronger revenue streams, but we are not going to dismiss print. It will always be part of our mix and of our combination of our empires. Not being a Mac guy, will you?
He's the digital guy asking the print guy to operate the computer.
I didn't
Bo,
phrase it that way.
this is a computer. You put the arrow like here and you touch. And voila, wow.
That's good.
Magic.
That's good, thank you. I'd like to see him dance around my Windows 8. And preparatory and preface to what we're going to have this dialogue with printers, I made a 5-minute movie that I think is going to set the stage for some intelligent conversation.
Could begin in a New York skyscraper, on a streamlined train speeding toward Los Angeles, or as here on a country road. For there is no community where the magic of American magazines does not play its part. To the farmer, the country gentleman brings articles, stories, and agricultural news. It means both hours of enjoyment and money in the bank. The Ladies' Home Journal is a key to gracious living. The Saturday Evening Post is a spotlight on national and world affairs. Magazines have long been both a paper pathway to education and entertainment and a round-trip ticket to far-off places. Even the children have not been neglected. For thousands of them, Jack and Jill, edited expressly for their pleasure, is part of the fun of growing up. The printed word forms the very sinews of our civilization. There is no great city, no small town that does not vibrate to the roar of the press. In America, that press, molded by men like Benjamin Franklin, is dedicated to democracy. Its roar is the roar of freedom. Once, man's thoughts could carry only as far as his voice. With the printed word, his ideas gain new power to record the past, build the future.
By means of printing, the fund of knowledge accumulated through the ages is available to everyone, rich and poor alike. Printing is essential to all education. All the other arts rely on it. Religious movements depend on it. Business could not function without it, nor could government. Because of the need for printed matter in practically all of man's activities, printing now ranks fourth among the nation's great industries. The wide variety of products of the press and the demand for a constant supply requires the efforts of many skilled persons in printing firms ranging in size from the small one-man establishment to large plants employing hundreds of workers. Printing as a vocation attracts many young men and women because it offers real opportunities for steady work, good pay, and advancement. The trade has several branches and numerous allied industries. The most familiar branch, letterpress printing, has 3 distinct types of work. These are, first, composition, the preparation of the type or other matter to be printed for the presses. Second, press work, the actual printing of the composed matter on paper or some other substance. And third, bindery work, the folding or joining together of the printed sheets into various forms so that they may be sent to the public.
We start out with a roll of paper that is unwrapped and put onto the back side of a press. This is a unwinder. We print black, blue, red, and yellow. 4 colors which allow us to print any number of colors in the rainbow. We use a digital representation of that form in order to assure ourselves that what we're printing on the paper is what was requested by the client. The client has approved each one of those pages. We've imposed them in the format that they're in.
We're privately held, and we're probably a very large privately held company with over 1,500 employees, so that's rare for a family business to be like that.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Heard about the internet? Google,
Facebook, YouTube,
Twitter. It's all anybody does these days.
Sit around and surf the web. That's it.
And that the internet's gonna kill movies and books and theater and television.
And it'll kill magazines too, guaranteed.
Every new technology supposedly has to kill an older technology to make room for itself.
Radio was going to kill theater, movies were going to kill radio.
TV was going to kill the movies, the VCR was going to kill TV.
And the internet was going to kill them all.
But that's not how media works.
What actually happens is that people find room in their lives for the new medium alongside the media they already love.
As long as those media continue to evolve and provide an irreplaceable value.
The bloggers and the pundits, of course, don't see it that way. They continue to predict the death of the magazine and any other media to anyone who will listen.
But the rumors of our death are, as an old magazine guy once said, greatly exaggerated.
Merely myths.
Print is evolving, and there's a big opportunity in the print industry to actually evolve the way we treat and think about print. So let me show you a couple of quick things. I'm going to end this presentation by talking to you about information overload. And the main thing here is that since 1950, the amount of information available to you has really gone up. It's exploded, right? But what you can actually consume hasn't. So this is the perceived opportunity. People are trying to get you to consume more content, whether it's online or offline. They're delivering it everywhere, and they're hoping they can raise the bar from down here. But what you actually can do is find the real opportunity in providing people with really high quality content. That's the real opportunity there, and that's what we want to concentrate on if we're going to evolve print.
Oh, they don't want you to be introduced. How did that happen? All right, well, we missed a couple of funny things, but that's all right. I can ad-lib. Would you gentlemen please introduce yourselves, tell me who you are, how long you worked there, what company you work for, and I would also like to know the predominant product that your company produces.
Hi, I'm Steve Zdanowicz. I'm the Senior Solutions Specialist for Brown. I manage a team that focuses on front-end workflow consulting, digital, and mobile sales solutions. I've been with Brown over 20 years. Been working in a variety of different positions within the plant, outside of the plant. Our primary focus is magazine and catalog printing, wide web, high-speed offset. At one point in time, we did have gravure operations, but you really can't compete in the market with a single gravure plant. So we're magazine printers, and we'll be magazine printers for a long time.
Hi, I'm Thomas Whitney, and I'm with Democrat Printing in Little Rock, Arkansas. And I have only been there for 7 years, so I'm the youngest guy up here. Anyway, our main product is magazines, and that's exactly what we're going to do forever, as far as I know. So anyway.
Hi, my name is Shweiki, and I'm with Shweiki Media, and we are a publication publisher and printer. We specialize in micro, small, and medium-sized publications. I went to the University of Texas. I graduated, and I started a small magazine. It was 8-page. I guess colored magazine is a little bit of a stretch. It was more like a pamphlet, and it specialized in all the fun things to do around campus, best bars to hang out in, stuff like that. And it was just a part-time thing I was just kind of do until I could think of a real magazine to start. But it filled a niche, little void, and grew at UT. And then we went to another university, Texas State, and it worked out well there. And we went to, over the course of 10 years, we started at about 5 universities, and it was, by that point, it was full color, glossy. And I looked at my print bill every month, and I said, I cannot believe I'm giving all this money to a printer. I'm going to buy my own press. So the internet was relatively new. At the time, I went online, and I saw a press that I thought I could afford. So looked at it, saw it printing a bunch of stuff. I said, I'll take it. Came back to Austin, and I was like, oh no, now what? So that's how I kind of got into the printing business. And this is what we do, it's what we know, is publication printer. And it's been a challenging but very fun journey, and we love printing.
I got it here. I'm Michael Simon with Publishers Press. I've been there about, 30 years, I guess, officially since college, but I started there when I was very, very young. It's a very old company, started by my great-great-grandfather in 1866. Back in the early 1900s, we concentrated on magazines, began a concentration on magazines, and have maintained that focus ever since. We print for a variety of publication folks, and goals and objectives are to remain a magazine printer for many, many years to come.
I'm John Bussolari. I'm with Lane Press, and we are a publication and printing company who really specialize in high quality, high touch, consultative approach to magazine publishers, and maintain a number of vertical segments, but all focused on magazine printing.
And I'm James Pilcher. I'm with Freeport Press. We're in Freeport, Ohio. And we also are a very old company. We're over 135 years old. My family's been involved with the business for about 15 years at this point. So in a lot of ways, although it's a second-generation business for us, in a lot of ways for us, it's a first-generation business. My father bought the business 15 years ago. My brother David, who's here with me as well, joined probably 6 months after that, and then I joined about a year after that. So, again, it's pretty interesting. 3 of the printers on this panel are within the 5 oldest printing companies in North America. So it's pretty neat. Democrat, it's also a very, very old company. And again, we focus in on that magazine and catalog market. That's really an area that we've seen a lot of growth in, and we love the industry. We're as passionate about the printing industry as most of you are about the publishing industry. So we love to come to these events and to hear the challenges and things that you folks are facing, because they obviously affect our business and help us form directions and plans and things that we're going to do in the future.
Great. From a personal perspective, I'd go to about 15 association publishing shows a year, and today is the first one that has discussed print. Thank you, Mr. Husney. Every association, every show, every place, they mostly talk about digital. Occasionally there's a sideline to something else, but it's mostly digital. And I think we need to respect our printers. They're the backbone of what we do. We, of course, need editors, and I thought the editors did a spectacular job in explaining wordsmithing and how we can entice the reader. But mostly there's only two things to do with the words: put it on paper or put it on a digital platform. So our industry has made this marvelous transformation. The reason I made that movie is just to show you how far we've come, really in just a short little time. For those that know, my first magazine was High Times magazine, and we printed that magazine just like Gutenberg, hot lead. In my lifetime, I've gone from hot lead to sending things, off of the air, and our industry is completely digital until we put ink on paper. So I'd like to sort of get into this transformation of what's left is, to the best of our ability, putting ink on paper, and how we're going to transform in, let's say, the next 5 years. So if we can, what developments do you have or perceive to have in the next 5 years that will help you facilitate delivering the printed product better than we do today?
Well, delivering the product better, I don't think it's, I think we've reached a point now that the quality of what we do is fantastic. I think that with the technologies that are available to all of us printers, I think we all have pretty much about the same technology on our presses and the type of presses that we use, the type of delivery systems that we have, the workflows and the enhanced workflows that have been put into place to help streamline these operations has really brought us to a point where the ink on paper is just fantastic. I think that where we're starting to see more ways of helping our customers is going to be in the distribution solutions and in the models. That's where we're starting to see there's higher costs, and as we know, the costs are continuing to go up. And it's a big focus for us to start to look at how can we help our customers streamlining the distribution part and saving dollars and going that way.
So I think that there needs to be maybe a little bit of a paradigm shift, the way you look at your printer. We're all in the manufacturing business, but as printers now, as Bo said, everything on the front end, even on the sales part, is very much digital and technology based, and that's where there's been a huge change. And even when the job comes into the plant, the way our customers are demanding better, faster, cheaper print. And so in order to do that, the only way to do that is to keep up with the latest technologies, and that requires a higher level of talent that printers are having to staff now. It's not just the guys that know how to run the presses. I mean, we're having to go out and find the same type of people that work at high-tech companies. Our clients are asking us to build websites for them, develop apps for them, to do digital magazines for them. So it's not just about manufacturing anymore. It's really, we are a digital company.
Could you just continue on that thought, and anybody else can pick this up? When I got into business, and I don't mean to refer to me as I, but there you go, it was all about craftsmanship. Now that we have all this digitalization, are we still craftsmen?
Well, like we've got a brand new Mitsubishi Whip press. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got cut-off control, color controls, but I would never push the button and let my pressman walk away from the press. Those guys need to look at the press, and they have a checklist that they sign off on, that they're pulling books and signing off to make sure that they look at that book and that it's perfect. So there is absolutely, and the level of printing that we're all talking about here, that all of our presses have, there's still a very high level of craftsmanship.
By machine or by person?
I think that the technology is there, but I don't think any one of us would push a button on our presses and let it run by itself.
Does anybody else want to address craftsmanship?
I definitely think it's a big difference. All the technology is there, but the people that are running the equipment are really what makes the core business. If it's not for the people within the plant, right from the beginning of the process to the end of the process, it can really make or break your magazine. And I always say there's 1,000 points of failure in the printing process, and it's the people within the process that help to avoid those points of failure. And it is really about understanding your customers' needs, like from the very beginning of the process right through the distribution. You touched on distribution being a huge part here, and I would agree with that, but I would also back up and say you need to understand every point of the process that your customer is involved with you in producing the magazine. So we are much more, as printers, getting involved in publishing businesses and getting involved with customers on a consultative level than we ever were. We are no longer just manufacturers of print. We are really manufacturers of content distribution, and we have to find multiple channels to do that.
Yeah, I'll kind of step back a little bit from that too. We very much are a niche player, and in the printing industry, I think has had a lot of the same frustration and lack of understanding about how to handle, kind of the digital revolution that really a lot of the publishers have faced. I mean, I was here at Act 2 a couple years ago, and it seemed like a lot of publishers, and I know a lot of our customers in general, have really struggled with trying to figure out how to come up with a solution where they do have a good digital solution that they can monetize and generate revenue with. How does that fit into their model? And really, the printing industry, in a lot of ways, if you'd go to the conventions and the trade shows and things that are specifically geared toward our industry, there's a lot of confusion in our industry about that same thing. There's a lot of industry pundits that say that printers can't be a printer anymore, and they say that you have to be a marketing service provider and you have to do all sorts of other things. And I think to some degree, most of us have adapted and tried to take on the role of being consultative and give some direction. But in the reality, I mean, just in our example, really, we're very much a niche player. We try to partner with good third-party suppliers for technology, but we don't necessarily own or license any proprietary technology to do any of that stuff. We were one of the first printers in North America to have a digital magazine solution back in 2005. We were the first printer to partner with NXT Media, and I mean, that was, we thought, man, this thing is great. We thought we were going to do phenomenal with it, and we private branded that product back in 2005, and it was a neat gimmick. It had a little sizzle, but at the end of the day, it didn't create a lot of value for publishers. It was just kind of that reproduction. And we've really looked at what we were trying to do, and we've really focused on just trying to be a very, very efficient print manufacturer to do just those same things we've talked about: increase quality, increase speed to market, shorten delivery cycle times, and lower the cost. So we've had to build margin back in.
Hold that thought. Tony this morning said that the magazine industry is moving from being magazine people to magazine media. Mm-hmm. And I think we can all suggest that printing is moving to information media, information distribution, not just ink on paper, although that's still all of our bread and butter. Now, despite what Gil said in the previous display, he said the only ones who are making money are printers. Mm-hmm. I objected in my head for you guys. Would you share with us how costly and how expensive it is for you to deliver the continued services that publishers are demanding? And without trying to sell us, what are those services?
Right. Well, and again, just speaking from a Freeport Press perspective, one, this really affects everybody. I mean, we're in a very, very capital-intensive business. So, the cost of equipment, the cost of maintaining that equipment, as Gail alluded to, with the staff required to, whether it's IT technical support staff or it's electrical engineering personnel on your staff to keep your equipment running, all this modern state-of-the-art equipment, it's an overhead-intensive operation to run a printing plant. And being that we're all manufacturers, I mean, at the end of the day, our bills are paid and we're very much tied to volume. So our businesses are all very, very volume dependent. So it's that fine line of combination between having work that's has margin in it that you can generate margin from and run, and then having enough work to where you're actually able to make some money in this business anymore. You know, we third party a lot of those special services because we've basically seen, what I love about print is it's a mature product. So that's the beauty of it. It's a mature product. You know, they say anything that can go digital will go digital, and I believe that is true. For us, though, the beauty of that is printed piece doesn't migrate digitally very well. So convergence of media, TV, radio, internet, that's all going to continue to converge. But what we deliver, and the thing that we've always complained about has been, hey, our product and our solution has a cost to it. At the end of the day, I feel like that's what's going to save the printing industry because we have a cost to it. We deliver a physical product at the end of the day. It is something that can't converge into digital media that well. It's going to be a companion product to some digital media solutions. So I think print has a great future. We're very bullish on it, and we've been making big investments in it.
How do you follow that? No, you know, what we as printers are really trying to do for publishers is to continue to support the experience that you're creating. So yes, all these, and I'm not going to speak too much to the capital expenditures and what have you. That's not my role within the organization, but I can speak to how the customers fit within that organization, within that printing capital intensive company. It's really about us helping you create an experience for your readers, because really the end user of the reader that you're trying to sell to, you're trying to appease to, is what we are supporting as printers. If we deliver you the right package in the right manner, in the right time frame, in the right cost price point, that's really what you're driving to achieve. And that's what our role in your business is to create that packaged content in the way that you expect it to be.
Michael?
Well, I definitely think print is still a craft. I think there's still an enormous amount of personal human intervention into getting a really fine product, both off a binder and off of a press. The pre-press functionality has pretty much disappeared now, but the printing operation is still the ink on paper. You've got chemistry there that has some inherent variables to it in the lithographic process, at least, and the bindery process is also still. You know, you really want all the finest printing in the world can go to waste with a poorly bound or poorly trimmed product, or poorly put together saddle stitch product, for example. So there's still a lot of craft left in what we do. We've taken probably an opposite approach from maybe you all, and we've tried to get very involved in our customers' front end systems. We see where they have struggled pretty much digitally for the last 5 or 6 years.
Sorry, define for the students the front end system.
I'd say workflow, getting us a properly prepared PDF file. Is kind of the way we look at the front end now. And, you know, I've asked it 101 times, if you eventually want your content ubiquitously distributed on all electronic devices, you have to start with XML tagging. It's just a foregone conclusion, and we've done a lot of research and investigation on that. So we spent a lot of time and effort and actually resources on developing what we think is going to be the workflow of the future that continues to allow the publishing community to bring content in, let them build community. I've got a personal belief that there's been too much emphasis on both digital infrastructure within the publishing offices. Not really sure that that's where that belongs. Just like used to be, a lot of publishing companies used to own their own printing presses. And they found that it was more cost effective if we isolated those into certain pockets throughout the country, and they were managed separately from the publishing industry. I think we're going to find that long term about the a lot of the IT efforts inside the publishing community, that you'll find that a lot of that cost and expense can be offloaded to a third party, and they need to be a trusted third party, and that best trusted third party might be the same person you're already giving all of your content and all of your files for distribution to, which happens to be a printer, who happens to be pretty digitally adept by virtue of what it is that they do. All the equipment that we own, we process about 3,000 to 5,000 pages a day, and all those pages have to be mirrored and replicated, and nothing can get lost or harmed in all those files. So we've developed a digital acumen that's pretty acute, and we think that we can apply that to our customers. You know, I like to say we have 550 publishing clients with 550 IT staffs all trying to do the same thing. I don't know that that makes a lot of sense. So whereas we've carved out a lot of cost in the print and bindery and paper and everywhere else, distribution, co-mailing, there's still opportunity, we think, inside publishing offices to streamline their workflows. And for the most part, our publishing customers have 1, 2, or 3 magazines. So they're relatively small and can't afford an enormous amount of hardware or systems that allow them to compete with the biggest of publishing companies. And we really want to allow for small publishing companies to compete with large publishing companies. We think they're the real bread and butter of our business, and that they're going to carry the day anyway. You know, if you go back over 15 years ago when private equity came into the magazine marketplace, it was pretty healthy at the time, and they were making some pretty good money. And a lot of the passionate, enthusiastic entrepreneurs who were running magazine companies, especially in the B2B space, they took off for an island somewhere because they got really remunerated very well for their previous 20 years of effort. But some of that passion and enthusiasm went away with them. And I think, to be honest with you, I think one of the biggest problems that the magazine industry has is it lacks some passion and enthusiasm in some critical points.
You're right, but that's a topic for a different...
It probably is. I'm just curious. You know, the ad you were showing initially on the movie, you don't see that anymore about magazines.
No, you don't.
And shame on you all for
That was
not
by
marketing your
Curtis
product
Publishing,
any better.
For those who don't know. Curtis Publishing made that.
Yeah, well, I just think, you know, you'd be well served if you did like Milk did and marketed your product.
Texas.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Michael and Steve and everybody else on the panel. I think that the cost of print it can't get any cheaper from your printer. Your printer is giving you your cheapest price right now. But we can work together with you and help you in other areas, educate you with some of the things that are new technologies that are coming out that can be value adds that if they allow you to have a better conversation with your client so that they see value in it and they give you more money, then maybe you'll pay us a little bit more money for helping you do that with augmented reality and some of these other things that are coming out now. And maybe we can help you sell ads, you know, through some education. And so that's where we're finding that, you know, we're finding a niche, and that's where we're kind of growing our business, is to really get with our clients, our partners, and say, hey, listen, we can't go any cheaper on the printing, but maybe we can help you make more money, and so then we can work together and all make more money together.
Well, I think it's pretty much been addressed, but
Change the word order, but go ahead.
yeah, I agree that the price really can't get any cheaper.
Less expensive. You don't do anything cheap. There's not a man here who does it cheap.
That's exactly right. I'm trying to think of what to say, really. I can't think of anything right now to add to the conversation.
Okay. I'll hit you first with the next question.
Well, things have radically changed in the last 10 years. You know, the margins are definitely not where they used to be, and I think everybody here has seen this. Overcapacity in the market, pricing pressures all the way around. The competition is bloody. You know, when we get into these, you know, we're competing against one another. I do think that, I'm hoping that has bottomed out, but you never know. When we look at our profit and where we make it in printing, it's no longer in printing. You know, it's flipped. You know, where 80% of our profit was coming from manufacturing, You know, putting that ink on the paper, that's no longer the case. That's the least amount, that's the least point of where our profit margins are. So you have to look at paper, distribution, the front-end services. And, you know, for us, we have to look at, you know, where are we going? You know, where are we going to start to look at new revenue streams so that, you know, we can be a viable printer for our publishing and magazine marketplace. So, you know, R&D is a big focus. We start looking at technologies that are being developed today and technologies that we don't know about that maybe, you know, we can invest in that will help drive new revenue streams for our publishers, keeping you in business, in turn keeping us in business.
I don't think it was addressed today. And everybody that I know of is discussing how 90% of publishers' revenue is still print. At most, 10% is digital and other. There's still the trend that publishers keep trying to develop magazine applications, digital applications, mobile applications. Hearst has 1.3 million digital subscribers paying $19.95. That's very small for them. And, you know, I'm shocked that they don't publicly say, take that with great pride, but they sort of keep that down. They're happy to say it, but no, that's not really a major part of our business. We're still print. So as we move ahead, what services can you provide other than print? Taking the assumption that print is not going to go away, but I think you just said you have to provide other services. What are they?
Well, you know, traditionally, we've let our publishing customers kind of drive what we do. So, you know, you want us to manufacture that content on a print platform? Yes, we can do that. Do you want a digital edition? Yes, we can do that. Do you want a high-end integrated app? Yes, we can do that. We've been, you know, reactive in that sense. We have to stop becoming more proactive. And for us, I see, you know, print to mobile as being a big focus for us in the future. I think that the mobile environment is still in an early adopter stage. We're finding that some of our largest publishers have big R&D budgets. They're able to experiment. They're able to fail early, you know, but we still see that that's a big point for us to start to focus on engaging.
None of the startups in the room today can afford to fail early. They need you guys.
Yes, and that's what we feel. We'll become the experts, you know, as we start to grow in this part of the market. So I would say mobile, if I had to put, you know, one word out there as far as where we see the future, you know, where we can start to drive new revenues. But we're still looking at it. We're still looking at different ways of maybe different types of intelligent software that helps you to sell ads, or, you know, helps to, you know, or ad portals, and, you know, what other ways can we help our publishers increase revenue streams? So,
what can you provide in the future to help those publishing startups that were here today?
That's a really good question. Right now, we do a lot of the same stuff. Sort of, you know, taking the PDFs and having the page flipper things, which I think are kind of silly, to be honest with you. But I'm sorry, guys, if you'll just bear with me. I'm pretty nervous. This is my first time speaking publicly. So
you're among friends. Don't worry about it.
Well, you know, I think that whatever happens in the future is it's really going to come from our publishers. They're gonna kind of have to ask us, you know, to do more things.
That's fair.
I can't really think of anything that, you know, off the top of my head right now that we would do.
Okay.
So we have the technology now and people on staff that we can create mobile-friendly websites for your advertising clients. The problem is that although we have this service, not a lot of our clients right now are taking us up on it because they don't see the value in it yet. We have the technology and staff to trick out people's Facebook pages, your clients' Facebook pages, so you can have a little different conversation with them. But there's not that many people asking us to do that.
It's very progressive and a thoughtful approach.
So those are the things that we're able to do, but it's our job now to educate our clients and help them see the value of it so that they can have a different conversation with their clients.
I agree. Michael?
On the analog side, we've recently introduced printed polywrap that we can do for our clients in-house. Yesterday they had the gift box for Donna, and I get the National Geographic, and it comes wrapped in a polywrap every issue. And then if you look at any other material you get in the mail that's not polywrapped, just look at the edges of it. Look at the product that you get in the mail that's unwrapped versus the product in the mail that is wrapped. And I think that a magazine is a gift from you to your reader. I don't think you're wrapping it properly. I don't think you're wrapping it at all. Number one, you're shoving it through the postal system, and some of the stuff I get out at home, it looks like it's been run over. However, the polywrap that we can produce today, not just clear or one color or two color, but it's vibrant 4-color, vivid 6, 7, 8 color polyfilm. Our previous supplier that we had to buy it out from was 6 to 8 weeks, and we've undercut their cost by around 50%. So we think the potential upside for selling polywrap to our customers is pretty good once they understand that it's a brand new advertising vehicle for them. They can sell brand new advertising to that title, and so we're affording them the opportunity to raise revenue. Different cover techniques, whether that be ultraviolet or UV inkjet, different applications of techniques to covers. Printing itself has matured into a pretty stable environment. Differentiating oneself with the 4-color printing process is a little tough to do. High definition, high resolution, 175, 200 line screen printing, obviously on nice paper. Binding, we've acquired additional pockets for our co-mailer that allow our customers to be part of a little bit larger pool.
Does everybody know what co-mailing is?
I would think. Yeah.
Anybody not know what co-mailing is? Okay. You don't know.
Well, but that's Martine.
He's foreign.
And he doesn't need to know what co-mailing is. I commend you for sitting in for what you're doing, but we're the only co-mailer south of the Ohio River, as a matter of fact. So we're the only ones in the South that we think we're the only ones in the South that co-mail. That was a substantial investment for us to make, and on a bit of a kind of a hope and a prayer that it would work. But we now have 2 co-mailers. One of them's 42 pockets or something. So we've expanded it, and that continues to reduce cost for our clients. Really, we're reaching the bottom of the barrel in terms of cost reduction. What we'd like to do would be product enhancement that allows our publishing customers an opportunity to either sell additional advertising or configure their advertising sales in such a way that they're able to reap more reward. The next press we look at will probably include some form of digital or variable printing. We're not 100% sure of that just yet, but that's inevitably what we think it will incorporate some of that. They're getting inkjet now to almost to full press speeds, full color. So it's got some interesting aspects to it.
You and I discussed this before. Variable printing would be great if the publishers had the database to run your variable presses. I'm of the opinion that the publishers do not own enough information to make it worthwhile to invest, and them pay for a digital array head.
Well, and that could be today, but as I mentioned, you said which
giving
publisher
you the opportunity to say it.
Yeah, I mean, which publisher has that data? You said nobody today in this room. I said, well, yeah, but tomorrow's publishers,
the people that really get it, like on the digital front, when you do something digitally, the first thing you have to ask, what kind of data am I going to get and what's it worth? Because that's really all you're shooting for on that experience is you're now able to measure that data. I did want to mention one other thing that we're doing for our clients in conjunction with a startup that we've come up with is the magazine channel .com, an app called Stacks, where we take your archived content and we find a way to monetize that. So we're exhausting that out of our system. We massage it, and then we display it currently on an iPad, and we render it, we think, very beautifully on that iPad. And we're doing things like working with Intel Corporation. They're coming out with a new tablet second quarter of next year for a company called Comcast. It's a cable provider. And we see our position as really facilitating content distribution. And we've done that generally through the U.S. Postal Service and the U.S. highways when it comes to analog. When it comes to digital, you can put yourself on the internet and be potentially found in the World Wide Web, or you could look to do kind of what Apple did with iTunes, which is create an environment with hardware manufacturers where there is a button on the device, and when you push that button, up pops the magazine channel. So there's no searching through the web. And we're working directly with Intel on this, and right now we've got the magazine button on their tablet is the magazine channel. And not only our print customers, but also publishers who do not print with us would be afforded the opportunity of getting onto that channel with their content. And we're pretty sure we're going to come up with a way to monetize that. Your archived content that right now is probably sitting, and maybe it could be generating SIPs, it may be generating bookazines, but we think the articles themselves can exist forever. The long tail of long-form journalism, if put into a properly designed, intelligent portal, we think that there's a possibility that the magazine articles can have a life beyond that one issue.
So you're discussing the remonetization of articles in the archive. The question, which we've been dancing around and going in all kinds of tangents, but that's okay, that's what we're here for. How can you help these young startups? What other services can you provide to help them along in the future? That's an old philosophy.
Yeah, it's an old philosophy. I guess I would pick up that in two different ways. I think what's most important, and there's a lot of different avenues to distribute content. There's a lot of different there's different, maybe not a lot because it is a mature industry, but there are some other avenues to create a differentiated with different codings and cover an inside personalization with bindery and what have you. But I think the most important thing to talk to a startup about is really how to apply those things to what they're doing. And we can all take the approach, and I think Bob, you referenced this earlier, of what you seemed excited about the fact that we need to be the leaders of developing these things, and I agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't agree with the fact that a lot of companies out there are just creating things and then just trying to sell it. I mean, I think really it needs to be, we can't create something that we get from an idea from a small group of publishers. It really needs to be a more intimate connection with your audience. And for a startup, there are many avenues to take with the magazine. I think the most important thing to determine is what is going to be the best avenue for you to take as a publisher that's going to enhance your revenue streams, because that's really what it's all about. So you may be able to take advantage of some very sexy distribution solutions and some great content solutions, or that may just not be appealing to your readers. And if we don't figure that out, the sooner we figure that out for our niche group of publishers that we are attracting or we are servicing, is going to be really what drives us in the future. So that's what we are doing, is really trying to understand where our customers are going and try to move our business alongside them rather than following behind or leading.
I agree with, all the sentiments said here. I mean, really, with Steve down on the end, you can't really build a product and build it and they will come type mentality, I think, when it comes to digital media. So I think it's going to be driven from the publishing community. I think a lot of the R&D is going to be driven from the large publishers out there, and they're going to be the ones to discover a model that works. Our customer base really is that smaller niche startup publisher. I mean, our average run length's 22,000 in our plant. And so, really our goal today is to work with those third-party experts that we choose to work with. And whether it's a digital version of the magazine or whether it's developing a custom app for a customer, what we try to do for that smaller individual customer who hits a price point where they cannot afford those services like a big publisher could, we basically leverage all the buying power that we have for all of our smaller titles, and we buy down that rate from those service providers. And then we offer that service. We act as an intermediate for that service. But again, that's not proprietary technology. And really, for the most part, for most of the printers in the industry, that's really how that's been done. I mean, R. Donnelley, the biggest printer in North America, their whole front-end digital magazine solution is a third-party company called Blue Toad. So a lot of us all private brand virtually the same technology. It's just a matter of how you market it and how you help your customers implement.
And the equipment that you have that's suitable. Yes, sir. The equipment that you have that's suitable for that particular client. Not all equipment is right for all publications.
Exactly.
Thereby the wonderful pollination of various printing presses and various clients. You had a question?
I just wanted to mention that when we put out, we are printed by R. Donnelley. And when we get bids, when it's 3-year time and we get bids, you guys are selling salt. You're selling the same thing. And you come in and you say, hey, we do good work. Everybody does good work. Nobody comes in with a bunch of Crayolas. And unless you can figure out how to set yourself apart, why should I change?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going to sell me ink cheaper?
Yeah.
The staples will be 10 cents cheaper? I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's your job. Don't tell me it's my job. Until you guys can get out of the commodity business, you ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I think that's a interestingly put, but a great idea.
I like the Crayolas.
We do. Printers and print suffers from an identity crisis of what was and what is. When the Titanic went down, I'm going to make up a number, 95% of the people found out by reading in print. When Osama bin Laden got shot, and this is not a number I'm making up, 2% of the public found out in print. So we can no longer faithfully deliver real-time news. But we can distinguish ourselves by being a luxury item, not a commodity.
But that's not what Mr. Mann's question is. Mr. Mann's question is...
I'm avoiding his question.
Because some of the gentlemen on the panel are saying that they don't want to lead. They want to walk alongside their customers. There are others on the panel that are developing new ways to do business. And I think that's what needs to be discussed.
Second time we're here this question. How do you distinguish yourself in a sea of printers?
So again, my discussion really is around the digital front end and the fact that there are companies that specialize and do that, and that product never reaches maturity. It's constantly replaced with new technology. And for mid-sized printers like Freeport Press as an example, we've had a good working relationship with many third-party suppliers that help do that. Again, when I talk about the pie in the sky, far out proprietary technology, a lot of that is developed by much larger clientele than people that we work with. Our customer base is typically those smaller customers, and really our main focus is focusing still on analog. As bad as that sounds to people, that really is our core product. That is what we do. Very much like Michael here at Publishers, we're looking for new physical products we can do, specialized coatings, new products that our customers can sell. We really have a model that really focuses around three things. It's saving our customers time, it's saving our customers money, or it's delivering products that our customers can make money with. And really, right now, our business is focused in mostly on that print market. Might not be sexy, but that's reality
Dane,
for
you
us.
want to jump in on this? Do you want to jump in on how you distinguish? I see Michael jumping there.
I would definitely make the argument that, I mean, you can commoditize print. It's very easy to commoditize print. It is what it is. It's a commodity. But what you can't commoditize is a printing company, and that's a distinction. And you can't really commoditize the relationship that you're building with that printing company and the solutions and the value that that company is bringing to you. And let me explain what that value could be. I mean, I say that we're walking alongside of you instead of leading you. But there are lots of products out there, as these gentlemen have articulated, that we could have under our umbrella that you could draw from. But if we couldn't figure out how to demonstrate how to use it and how to apply it to your business, then it's useless to you. So really what you're buying from this commodity group of people, this panel, is a relationship.
Yeah, I think there's several differentiating points. Clearly, I think service, is one of them. And I think there's, I think that's discernible in the marketplace. I'm not going to pull the ad for myself here, so I'm not going to go through the routine, but I do think we're a little different in that regard. And the other thing is, I was actually in your office last week selling it. I think she might say, I think he's a little different. I don't know. I brought a couple things to the table that nobody else had. So, in that regard, I think that's the challenge, though, is that we have to recognize and realize the signatures are all pretty much, at this point, the signatures in the book, that's a commodity. We're buying them everybody's going to buy them at pretty much a pretty low dollar. It's what we do to distribute that book, and it's everything we do on the front side of that. It's maybe what we're able to gift wrap that book in that your other guy can't get in 3 weeks. It might take him 6 weeks or more money. And then it's maybe what we do with your content after you're done with it. Maybe I find a way to, I tell my clients, I'm trying to find out a way to write you a check for being my client. And that's my goal every day when I get up. I'm trying to find a way for us to exhaust out of our system our customers' content in such a way that we can create a very intelligent portal that allows for search to be conducted across a broad spectrum of information that maybe do it better than other services can do it, and find a way to monetize that and send money back to our clients. So I know we're trying very diligently. I've got kids, as a fifth generation business, you don't want to be the one that lost it, right? I mean, the pictures are on the wall. So, and we've got these kids, and the sideburns actually come from my great-grandfather. I kept looking at these pictures on the wall, since I've been growing up. And this guy, I just kept looking at him, and I kept thinking, damn, he looks familiar. I see that guy every morning. And he's got these big mutton chops. So I decided to borrow those from him because it's based on history, but we're looking forward to what we can do in the future with the business. And, personally, I think we differentiate pretty well. I mean, we're growing. We've actually, this year, in contrast to the two largest printers in America today, only through acquisition did they grow, but they're not growing. They're actually flat to down. And actually, I've put more paper through the press last month than like any other month, ever. So I mean, we're continuing to grow and differentiate, and it's all about getting up every morning to Super Bowl Sunday, every day.
Well, please. Yeah, let's finish, and then I'd love to hear your question.
Yeah, just real quick. I think it's all that and more, and I think it needs to be built into the DNA of the company. We have 8 core values, and one of the core values is we get better every day. And we want to make sure that all our clients hit the ground running every day thinking about what we can do better for our clients. And we want to be the leaders, and we want to stand up and as part of educating, but it needs to be like a corporate culture that everybody in the organization needs to think about how we can help our clients make more money and do better. And that's going to ensure that, you know, we live up to our mission statement, which is, you know, hassle-free, and we make publishers better.
Yes, printing is a commodity, and it's unfortunate that it is that way. But I think that at Democrat Printing, we just try to deliver the best product we can and have the best relationship we can with our publishers. And that's really, you know, all I know to do. So anyway, that's... Other than cut the price completely in half.
Well, you know, I hear you loud and clear when it comes to differentiating. And if you're not differentiating and you're a printer, you're not going to be a printer in this game for much longer. You know, you've got to be able to, you know, offer products that are going to help you do that and help your clients drive new revenue streams. We've just made a very significant investment in a technology company to help us do that for the future. You know, it's something it's beginning stages for us, but we have a vision, we have a strategy that is going to bring these differentiated products to our customers. It's not all happening right today. We do have something, but you know, we've got a strategy to do that. So next time you're going out for bid, let us know and we'll show you what we got.
Mr. Morris.
My question is about China. The Chinese have the same equipment you have. They have the same paper, the same ink. They're just as good. The only difference is time. And the price is much, much cheaper, primarily because of their low labor rates. My first question is, what are y'all doing about that? And my second question, related to it, is there any way you can work with some of these Chinese printers to give those of us over here some advantage? Is it something that can be done part over there, part over here, or whatever? Because they are much cheaper than you. Some of the things that you saw on my presentation this morning in Chinese were printed in China. They were printed in China because they were distributed in China. And there's no reason to print them over here in Chinese and then fly them all the way over there. So we do use some Chinese printers for appropriate publications. But we see their prices and we know the difference. So I think that ought to be discussed a minute.
Well, now, I don't think they have an EPA, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think they have OSHA. They don't have it. They don't have an NLRB. There's several things they don't have that, as that society matures, they will probably adopt. Their cost potentially could only go up. You know, we compete with that on timeliness. We produce books, I mean, it's 12 to 18 hours anymore. It's awfully fast. We do about 40 books, 40 different magazines a day, and theoretically we could do every one of them like a weekly. But a lot of our weeklies come to us, and 12 hours later, it's shipped out the door. And that you're just not going to be able to get from China. A monthly magazine today takes 4 days, 3 days, 4 or 5 days. I don't know that that's going to make a lot of sense getting back and forth from China. I wouldn't get in the hard case-bound book business for one reason, China. Because if there's no timeliness to it, and I was buying the printing, I'd probably go to Korea or China. I probably wouldn't have it done in the United States. So I don't want to compete with them on that. I'd prefer not to. I can't. I got to pay somebody more than $8 a week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all comes down to fit. I mean, books are a good fit to go overseas. There are a lot of disadvantages, not only from a timely standpoint, but the whole distribution model in general of it getting back into the States and distributing. And the magazines going forward are just going to become more targeted and more demographically targeted. And to me, that's just going to pull the reality of moving to China even further away from where it is today. So, I mean, And then we can talk about some other communications and some other things that could come into play. But I really think it comes down to product fit, and magazines just do not fit in that model today. And I think to the unforeseeable future, hopefully.
You wanted to add to that?
Yeah, we're not going to compete with China. You know, we don't feel that they're our competitor when it comes to magazines and catalogs. But I will say we do use overseas, it be China, it be it Thailand, when it comes to color correction, retouching, silhouetting. You can't beat the price and quality. It's overnight, but it's a digital environment. You say you don't have to print it, you don't have to stack it and ship it and get it over here. And again, you know, coffee table books, I don't think there's a coffee table book printed in the U.S. anymore, you know, because of the time frames there. So. But you know, if we needed to print overseas, we have sister companies that are all over the world, printing companies. So, you know, we have availability to do that if needed. You know.
Does anybody else in the room have a question? There are 6 excellent printers here. You know, what question have you always wanted to ask? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of tie the two questions together, I think that there are a lot of interesting things that you may not have thought have been possible, and now because the world is getting smaller, and we do have places like China, that if you don't have a long lead time, you can do amazing things. Like we have a client right now that we're working with, and they have a very innovative book that they want something extremely different to sell to their client. So in the middle of their book, they want a pop-up piece that has the skyline of San Antonio, and they're printing it in China. And we're waiting for it, and we're gonna bind it into the book. So those are the kind of things that I think that, you know, are out there in our world that we need to kind of broaden, like you say, kind of our horizon and the scope of what our clients think is possible now.
I'm told by the management that it's almost time to close. I want to add just on that comment, John from Nellie Moser and I had the good fortune to be at Sun Chemical last week, and they make ink. But apparently they don't only just make ink. They make some fantastic special inks that do creative and interesting things. So it's not over yet. The creativity doesn't stop, and it doesn't even start here. It goes way back to our ink manufacturers who are going to add some interesting new curveballs that we don't yet know about. On that, I thank my panel. I thank